Hi, this is Stephanie Ward at fireflycoaching.com, and I'm here today with David Allen of Getting Things Done, and he's going to share his top marketing tips with us. So hopefully we can learn something. So David, tell us when you were just starting out, now that you're all big and successful, but back way long time ago in the day, when you were just first starting out, what were your most successful marketing strategies?
Well, I think what we're talking about really is building a business off of the brand, or building a business off the Getting Things Done model and methodology. That actually developed many, many years after I was doing the work in consulting and coaching, but didn't market myself. The marketing was called pick up the phone. You know, it was all referral, whatever. But even back then, I have to say, job one called network, engage. Like, don't turn down any opportunity to talk to anybody about what you're doing, as long as they're, are positively inclined. If they're trying to talk to you, beat you up, or to run you down, or to prove that they're better than you, that's probably not worthwhile. But most people are often gracious about that, and so you got to ask, or you got to put yourself out. So that's what I've done, and I've continued to do that. As the book came out, then I had opportunities. People would, I got press on that the book publisher, produced. But I took advantage of every single podcast, every single interview, every single, like this, like you, Stephanie, meeting you and say, hey, David, you want to talk to people? I go, sure, I'll talk to people. So I'm not actually a naturally extroverted person. It actually is something I do need to focus on, and it's not like I get all my juice out of that. So it is a consciously done thing. And I think out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interview requests and would you write an article about or whatever, I think I've only turned down one that just seemed to be a bit sleazy. My wife, who's my chief executive assistant, she provides a little bit of a filter for me about those kind of things. But I take advantage of all of that. So that was job one.
Okay, really so just saying yes to every opportunity. Saying
yes to every opportunity, and also just in terms of my stuff, many times, much like Buckminster Fuller used to say, he learned what he knew by talking to people, because he said he had a BS meter that would go off inside of him if he was talking to people. That's where he learned, and I'm pretty much the same way. So it's not only a one-way street, meaning you're helping other people out there, but I also matured a lot of my thinking about what I was doing and how to express it by doing that.
So that's amazing. So normally people are always thinking, okay, what can I get if I get asked to speak or do a podcast? But what you're saying is you actually are getting two things, because you might get an opportunity, but you're also learning yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's, to be able to articulate what it is that you do. And I think over time people develop their own signature. And I think it takes a while to find out what your signature really is. So I'll fast forward a little bit. Where I am now, we never really marketed ourselves. As I began to build a little company around the success of the book and brought in other trainers and coaches and presenters and started to build some product around that. Still not a huge company. I mean, there are only 20 plus of us, doing that work. But we're partnering with other people out there. But as I started to do that, we really realized that the brand had kind of run out from under us. GTD, which was the shorthand for Getting Things Done, became this global thing, kind of like Kleenex and Xerox, and we didn't own it. I mean, we owned it, but it was kind of running faster than us. And we really had to rethink, how are we showing up out there in the world? Because people would meet me or meet us and go, wow, you're nothing like what I expected you to be. I said, what do you expect me to be? And they said, well, corporate and left brain and hardworking and rigorous and disciplined and whatever. And a lot of people go, I probably should, but that's not me. Well, that's not us either. And so there was a disconnect between how we were actually showing up in the world and people's perception of us and the reality. So we had a really smart guy help us think through this. And it's really about being authentic. So those really tie together, called what's my signature? What's the David Allen signature? If you go to my website now, if anybody ever saw it a year or two ago, it looks very different now than it did then. Because what we decided was, look, take the tie off, because I'm really kind of a hangout, spontaneous, kind of guy, which is really a lot of what my methodology is about and what the message is about. But initially, we had targeted the market of the people. Those were the people, the high-profile professionals and fast-track professionals were the ones who were probably in the most pain in terms of overwhelm, and that could use the methodology most to begin with. But the truth is, it's for anybody, and it's now spread around the world. And our signature, in other words, our expression is much more aligned with who we really are. So we didn't really have to go anywhere Many times the problem companies have is their marketing is a big ta-da and they can't deliver on the big ta-da. Well, our ta-da sucked. We were delivering huge value and people were, having transformational experiences, but, you didn't look that way. So we said, well, there's a lot of people we're not reaching because there's kind of an inauthenticness about what we were doing.
So that's been aligned now with the new website, the new brand.
Yeah, much more so. Whether it works as a business, I don't know. But it's certainly a lot more fun.
Okay, totally.
I don't have to show up and try to be somebody else or have to deal with people's perception of me not being who I really am. And so, maybe more approachable, lowering the bar for people to be able to engage with me. Early on you have to kind of, everybody, probably gets a nice business card so that you look like you're bigger than you probably really are. You start to kind of create an image and a brand around, who we think we really ought to be, given, so we can attract people and not turn them off. But at some point, you really need to kind of catch up with that and allow yourself to just kind of be who you are and let the world come to you that are interested in you.
Okay, makes sense.
That's been as much a personal development as a marketing development on my side.
Okay, that is fascinating. So it's there's two things happening here. As you develop in the personal development, the marketing, those two things are aligned and they're important for them both to create a successful business.
I think so. But I haven't studied all the successful businesses to say that's how they did it. I do know that in the world that we're in now, because it's so transparent and social media can spread word like crazy, and that essentially that transparency, the more authentic you are, probably the safer it's going to be. So you don't have to, worry about trying to be something that you're not, or gee, they thought of me as that, and now I have to be that for them, and I have to be that for them. And
just makes life easier.
It does make life easier. Whether it makes it more profitable or not, I would think so. But I think the world gets attracted to authenticity.
I agree.
And that's I think where the world is, because it's so transparent. Inauthenticity, I think, shows up at least subliminally, if not directly.
Yeah.
So people out there with trying to create marketing campaigns that really aren't who you are, or trying to show up as something that's just somebody just writing ad copy, but then your engagement with the company, doesn't hold up to that, or doesn't match to that. That's tricky business.
Excellent. I think these are really excellent tips for everyone that's listening, is to definitely put yourself out there, say yes to opportunities, align yourself, your authenticity with your brand, and keep saying yes. Yeah. Those are great tips.
Another one is keep the same phone number, and don't screw up, and when you do, fix it elegantly. Those are over the years I've just found, consistency, because the seeds, boy, especially in my business, seed planting is just amazing. And it's probably true. I mean, come on, Stephanie, it must be with your business and anybody's out there.
Yeah.
With a restaurant and anything else, it takes a while to build there, but you just got to stay there. And you got to keep doing what you're doing, and, keep putting one foot in front of the other. And that consistency, I think, is something that resonates with people.
I'm so glad you said that, because I am always beating my drum of consistency. Do your marketing consistently and you will get results. And the whole seed planting, it's just, I love that message.
Yeah, I've had people come back, years later, sometimes 8-10 years later, go, David, I met you at X, Y, and Z, I'm now in this position right now. You're exactly what we need. And holy mackerel, how long, did some of these seeds take to grow? Some of them pop right away, obviously, but you just got to keep, Johnny Appleseed, you just have to keep spreading the seeds out there wherever you can and in whatever way you can. A good friend of mine, Jack Canfield, who wrote, Chicken Soup, and, Jack's got the great story. I mean, no publisher would take it. He filled his trunk with the books, and they just drove around the country, just talking about it and taking every single radio spot and interview that they could. So at some point it reached a critical mass, and sort of tipped over. And I think there's wisdom in that. No. If you believe in what you're doing and you love what you're doing, just stick with it and keep course correcting. Pay attention to feedback, and stick to your guns.
I love that. That's a great way to wrap this up, is the consistency piece, but sticking to your guns. Don't give up. Keep going. Plant those seeds, and you will succeed.
One of the things, Stephanie, that pops to my mind too is I've always taken advantage of practicing sort of my signature and perhaps some new way to talk about what I'm doing with service organizations. and doing pro bono stuff. So I kind of have two prices: retail and free.
Okay.
Right. It's kind of like my time and my message is worth this, but it's also worth that. It's worth it for me to give it to you if you give me a good enough reason. But for that reason, I think there's a givingness. You kind of receive out of the hole that you give through. So I think there's a lot of that also has helped in the marketing. It's almost self-defeating because it shouldn't be self-serving, but it is. And so it's never, I don't think it ever hurts to acknowledge the fact that, hey, if your heart says, I really want to give this stuff and I want an opportunity to practice it. When we train staff to coach and to present, we use as the training ground all the service organizations that we know, so that we give them an opportunity. And it's a two-way street. We give our folks a chance to practice and to work on their shtick and to do all their stuff, at low risk, because nobody's paying for anything there. But that service organizations just love it, and it's a great way to give to the community as well as to serve yourself.
No, I think that's an excellent point. Your intention is really because you believe in what you're doing, you believe in your message, and you want to share it, and things do come back to you. What comes around goes around, that whole karma thing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for these amazing tips, and everybody be sure to look below the video for some additional links if you want to check out more about what David Allen is up to. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Stephanie. Bye, everybody.